Okay, well, hey, this is Jonathan Dupree, and I am very excited to have Grant Lopez on the call today. Grant is in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm really excited, Grant, because you're at Keller Williams, man. Are you
Thanks,
excited?
Jonathan. Yeah, thank you for having me. We're very excited. It's a fresh new take on where I'm taking things, and so I'm excited to see where it leads me.
That is so awesome. I was very excited when I heard that you were going to be here at Keller Williams in the San Antonio market, and I know that you're going to influence and impact agents all over the country. However, I was really excited to hear that you had made a transition, and you've been in the real estate business for a really long time. I know you're a strong leader in the San Antonio market. I love San Antonio. I was just there at a mastermind. I know you popped in for some of it. I'm going to be back in December 5th there for another mastermind. But I know that you do a lot in that market. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about who you are?
Sure, happy to. So I got licensed back in 2008 in the great time of 2008 to get into the real estate market. Everybody thought
Yeah.
I was crazy.
Yeah, where was it
Um,
taking off, right?
yeah, exactly. So only had upwards to go from there, and so it's been almost 12 years now, and it's been a wild ride. I was born and raised in San Antonio, so it was an easy fit for me to get in because I had a big sphere of influence starting into the business, and I could tap into that. But over the last 12 years, it's just grown bigger than what I ever believed it could. The last 7 years of my career, I've been part of a very large real estate team here in San Antonio. And when I decided to go out on my own, KW Heritage was a wonderful fit for where I wanted to take my career for the next 12 years and then some. So I'm excited to be here and looking forward to 2020 and the game plan there.
Yeah, well, it's so funny that you talk about KW Heritage. I was so impressed when I went in and did the mastermind. It was for that organization, and they had so many top agents there that were just crushing it. And that mastermind, I think they walked away, and I didn't share them. All the agents were sharing, and it was really neat to see because there's this environment in the real estate world. I grew up in it, and not in this environment, but in the real estate world. And there's this mindset, or in some offices, this environment of I don't want to share with you what I'm doing because it's working for me, and you may take it and go do it and take business from me or something like that. And yet here are these agents who you had to sell more than $10 million year to date to be invited to this mastermind. And they're sharing what they're doing to grow their business, and they're sharing what other agents could implement to grow their business. And I was just impressed by that. I think the people you hang around, the people you spend time with, I'm a big believer, and that's who helps shape who you become. Charlie Tremendous Jones said who you'll be in the next 5 years will be a direct result of the books that you've read and the people you surround yourself with. And I just think that's awesome that you are now one of those guys at that office in that market that's going to be impacting people in such a powerful way.
Well, that was one of
Yeah.
the things that attracted me to this office was a lot of the names that are in here. I wear several hats. Realtor is one of them. One of the other hats I wear in San Antonio is the local chairman of our association. And so I get a chance and an opportunity to network with a lot of our 12,000 members here in our 9 county region. And when I was looking at different brokerages and I was going through the rosters, so many of my colleagues that I count as friendly competitors or as friends were located in this office. And so you're exactly right. What you hit on is so much of this market people think is very adversarial and it's competition. But sharing and collaborating and masterminding and looking at it as friendly competition is really, I think, a big key to an individual's success. And it's one of the things I talk to new realtors about all the time that are entering the industry is look, if you break it down, you can look at the top teams in the city, the top individuals in the city, and in a city like San Antonio, the top teams doing probably 600 transactions, the top individuals are around 100 transactions or so. But at the end of the day, when you look at our region, there's probably 35,000 transactions that are going to happen in 2019. in our region. So there is more than enough to go around. And when we're pushing each other and sharing ideas on how to be successful, we're elevating each other and we're all winning. So it's one of the things I loved about this office when I was looking it around, was the collaboration and the hustle and the bustle, and the fact that there were top producers here was really a big factor in our decision making process.
Well, that is it is such a powerful, what you just said is so powerful. And I think it's important for agents to understand that as well. So talk a little bit about what attracted you um, to Keller Williams.
There was two things that attracted me instantly. The first off was the leadership. The leadership at KW Heritage has just been phenomenal, and how they opened the doors and said, "Hey, look, here's how we want to help you be successful in 2020 and beyond." And they really
How important is that? Because you and I both came from a virtual brokerage to now back into the world of a company that has brokerages, physical locations. And I think it's really important. I love being back in an environment where I can go in somewhere and see people and mastermind and talk and share. And I'm not negating the other
right.
brokerage, but how's that play a role in your world as a layer of importance?
For my personality, it was vital. I've always thrived in an office. When I first got into the industry, for a short period of time, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to work from home. And then that's going to be great. And I quickly learned that is not a fit for me. For some people, it is, and they can thrive in that environment. I need to be around people and to have the push and to see other people and what they're doing and collaborate and ideas share, and to be around, like I said, friendly competition that always helps to keep us, going. And so having an office to call, my work home, and an environment where I could go and thrive was very important. And like you said, it's nothing against the other models that are out there. For some people that really works, but I think in an industry that is really driven off of a social factor and socialization, it's going to be impossible for any one model to try to take away the social aspect of one of the most social industries out there. And so I think for a bulk of our industry, they need that office to thrive in. And so if working from home or virtual cloud is a fit, wonderful. But I think for a lot of people like myself, we need an office to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one of the first things you said attracted you, was just being back in. You had KW Heritage opening their doors and helping you really create this plan to not only meet but exceed your goals. And then what else attracted you to Keller Williams?
The second part of that was the technology. When I sat down and really looked at the tools and what they're implementing through the new command system, I got excited. I come from a high brokerage team, or I mean a high volume team, where we were churning out a lot of deals. But unless you have the technology behind you to really sustain, because growth is easy, anybody can grow. Where the struggle is can you sustain that business once you've developed it? And the technology that they've been rolling out through Command and the other tools that are available to KW agents was really a big push for me on, wow, this not only allows me to grow now that I'm going out on my own, but once I have grown, to sustain that business and make it long lasting.
It's funny you say that. My son is 20 and he's an agent here in Austin. And he said, Dad, had I had this technology a year ago, and then last year was his first year in real estate, and he sold 15 or 16 homes, which isn't bad because he was, just turned 19. And but he said, had I had this technology, I could have doubled what I did in real estate. And I think a lot of agents, we throw around the word technology, but I was just as blown away as you were probably when I sat down at Keller Williams, and Neil, who helped create Command, and when he sat and walked me through what it did, I was blown away. And I was one of those guys. I was like, Keller Williams is not a technology company, because you'd hear Gary say that, and you'd hear people say it's the technology company. And I go, it's not a technology company. It's just a CRM or a website. And when I truly saw how it integrates into everything that an agent does to help position the agent in the best possible position to serve their consumer and to grow and build and scale their business, it's like a light bulb came on for me, and I got it and I saw it.
It's amazing. And that's part of it too. When we were doing our transition meeting and we started to meet with the tech people and started to sit down with everybody, and we really got walked through the command system and all the other tools that are out there, it was kind of mind blowing because I went, man, I look at the money we've spent over the last several years to develop systems that are like these, but these ones are already here and in place and running. All we got to do is input the data. And a lot of it you can put on an autopilot type of system and go from there. As long as you're constantly inputting the data, the system can really take it from there and allow you to be successful and tell you what you need to do and when you need to do it.
Absolutely.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, well, I interviewed, I don't know if you know Matt Chase, but just a phenomenal agent in Cleveland. And
Mm.
I was interviewing Matt, and he recently made the transition to Keller Williams. And we were talking about technology, and he said Command is going to replace all of these pieces of technology that I've gone out and got something here and something here and something here. And I'm spending tens of thousands of dollars a year, and I now have been able to replace that with Command. That's pretty powerful for it.
It's very powerful and it's all in one system. So say goodbye to trying to remember the list of username and password. Right there in one place.
That's right. That's right. So let's shift gears for a second and talk about this in the real estate industry. A trend that we're seeing are agents are entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
And they're constantly looking for ways that they can earn more money. And one of the ways is one of the reasons is because agents are always on this up and down flow. They live transaction to transaction to transaction, and they're not consistently lead generating like they should be. And so they shift and they quickly pivot and go, well, I'm going to try this and make some money here, and I'm going to try this and make some money here. And now there's this trend that they are, I'm going to make a bunch of money through recruiting agents. And so they make these transitions, and they're trying to grow their business through recruiting agents, and they discovered that's really hard, and they're really replacing one income stream with another income stream. That's all they're doing, replacing one active stream with another, if they can get good at this one, which is really hard to do. And what I saw, and I want to set up what I saw, and then you give your thought or input into this. What I saw were, let's just say an agent, they're selling real estate and they're making, I don't know, $15,000 a month, 10 or 15,000 selling real estate, and they say, I'm going to make this shift and try to learn how to recruit agents. And what their goal is to have this income come up and this income come down. And what they really did was just replace one income with another. But it takes somewhere between, I think, a good 18 to 36 months to really build this where it would replace your income if you were really great at recruiting agents. But there's this gap here where their income takes a dip. And I've seen agents where their gross commission income took a 30 to 50% dip because they tried to shift their focus from selling real estate to recruiting agents. And what ends up happening is they go, Jonathan, I have to get back to doing what I know how to do. I have to get back to selling real estate. I have to get back. That's my bread and butter. And I saw it happen over and over and over and over again. What would be your advice to that agent who has bitten the lure, taken it hook, line, and sinker, and their real estate income is shrinking drastically, and they're trying to figure out what to do and how to replace that income? How would you encourage them to get back into building and scaling their real estate business?
Well, it's about going back to basics. If your bread and butter was selling real estate, it's like you said, it is possible to replace one with the other, but you've got to go through that replacement period. And if you're looking at 18 to 36 months, and I think that's probably a realistic number at a minimum, it's going to take 12 months to really make that income something substantial. You've got to be prepared. So if you're somebody that's thinking of making the jump to do something like that, set aside a lot of money on the front end because you're going to be waiting a long time to get to that point. The people and there's definitely people out there that have become really big success.
Sure.
the recruiting. But I think for those people, they have become truly full-time recruiters. So if you're a big enough producer and you can hire a team out or staff out to do the sales production side of it for you, then it is possible to become that full-time recruiter. But if you got in really early and experience a lot of that growth, but at a rate now where there's quite a bit of people in companies like that, I think what you're experiencing, at least what we're experiencing in a market like San Antonio, is by the time you even have some sort of introduction conversation with another realtor in the area, they've been approached 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And some of them are at a point of, it's a little bit like, hey, back off, don't even try to approach me with it because everybody and their mom is approaching me with it right now. And so I think what we're finding out is, number one, the people that have become professional recruiters, they've got it down really well. They're out there, they're hustling, they've replaced their sales side of it with that side, and they're doing really, really good to it. More power to them. But for the other people that are now coming in, they're stepping on everybody's stepping on each other's toes because they're growing so rapidly that, you know, you're all having the same conversation. And then it becomes well, who closed them or who talked to them first, which is a whole nother type of discussion. So I think, you know, if you got in early to a model like that, great. Or if you're a big enough producer and you can, you know, hire staff out to do your sales so you can focus on the recruiting aspect of it, great. But I think for your everyday agent that needs to sell homes in order to produce an income to, you know, provide for themselves and their family, it's going to be hard to do both unless you've got a lot of time on your hands to really grow that. And one of the things I always look at is, you know, we hear a lot about growth, whether it's just the industry and how many people are getting licensed or how fast some of these companies are growing. And everybody pays a lot of attention to the front door and how many people are walking in. Nobody though is looking at the back door.
That's
And
right.
it's one of the things I look at in terms of with my position at association is how many people are getting licensed and joining the association. And you look and you go, oh, wow, look at all these new member orientations. It's growing and growing and growing. But there's also a certain amount that are going out the back door. So your net is actually pretty small there. I don't know those numbers for other brokerages, but I think it's something people need to take a look at when they're considering the jump, because there are people that are making that jump. And then there's people that jump back and say, you know what, it's not a fit for me. And that was my case when I had my departure from my team. It was a matter of, okay, well, do I stay or do I go? When I weighed a few options, I said, well, let me talk to my broker about it and kind of get some advice on, you know, the model that they have and ask some questions. And it was real easy for me to connect to other agents. It was difficult for me to connect to leadership and figure out like, hey, I have these questions. What direction do I need to be looking in? Which again is part of why it led me back into a physical office where there's collaboration and there's leadership and there's people I can go to when I do have a question or need some advice.
Yeah, well, and I think that's huge, and I think it's what agents are craving, and I think it's really important to have. And I think every company can offer some form of that, but at the end of the day, it's the agent navigating through and going, what's going to be the best decision for me and my family, and what are my goals?
You know, that's exactly right. I think it's great to have options, but I think the key to it is knowing yourself and what you need to succeed. And if you don't know that before you make a dramatic jump, I would suggest looking inward and figuring that out so that whatever jump you make, whether it's to a new model or an existing model or a different office, you make sure you're setting yourself up to succeed versus making a jump and going, oh, this might not be for me, and then making a jump back, because all you're doing is putting a staleness in your business
That's right.
roadblock.
That's right. Well, you're absolutely spot on, man. I can't tell you thank you enough for taking time out of your day to chat with me for a little bit. And I know it's kind of crazy because I do work out of my house, and I heard my kids screaming, my dog barking, and hopefully all that didn't come through too crazy in this interview. But I'm so excited you're at Keller Williams, dude. It's going to be so much fun to work with you and see your business flourish and see what you accomplish. And I think this is what I'll close and say, and then you can close us out and tell us what you're most excited about in 2020 and beyond being here at Keller Williams. But for me, I think what excites me the most about Keller Williams is it is truly the brokerage that gives an agent the ability, no matter what level that agent is, if they're brand new or they're extremely experienced like yourself, to come in and build their real estate business and scale it up to whatever level they want to scale it to and grow it at a high level. That's what excites me the most is they're able to do that and see their life radically change through the vehicle of real estate. What
You
excites
know,
you, man?
you said it perfect right there. I'm excited to learn the technology, implement the technology, and see what kind of a role it plays in our growth here and in the new office, and just seeing how 2020 plays out.
That's so awesome. Well, hey, Grant, thank you so much for being on this Zoom webinar. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.